On this channel, you'll find powerful ideas to help you grow, not just in language, but in life. So if you're ready to level up your skills, subscribe and join the journey. Let's grow together.
The quiet city, the city never truly slept, but it often pretended to at midnight. When the streets emptied and the distant hum of traffic softened into a low, steady whisper, a different rhythm emerged, one that only a few people ever noticed. The flicker of streetlights, the rustle of wind through narrow alleys, and the quiet footsteps of those who walked with purpose. Ethan was one of them. He had always been drawn to silence, not the absence of sound, but the kind of silence that revealed things. Growing up, he found comfort in observing rather than speaking. While others rushed to fill every pause with words, Ethan learned to listen. And in listening, he discovered stories hidden in plain sight. That night, like many others, he walked along the riverbank, hands in his coat pockets, eyes scanning the reflections dancing across the water. The city lights shimmered like fragments of broken glass, constantly shifting, never settling. He paused. There was something unusual, not loud, not obvious, but different. A woman stood at the edge of the bridge, her silhouette barely visible against the dim glow of the street lamp behind her. She wasn't moving. She wasn't looking at her phone. She wasn't doing anything people usually did. In moments of stillness, she was simply there. Ethan hesitated. In a city this large, you learned not to interfere. Everyone carried something, invisible burdens, fears, regrets, and most preferred to carry them alone. But there was something about her presence that felt fragile, as if the slightest disturbance might cause everything to collapse. He took a slow step forward. "Excuse me," he said gently. Careful not to startle her, she didn't turn for a moment. He thought she hadn't heard him. Then, quietly, she spoke. "Do you ever feel like the world keeps moving?" she said, "even when you've stopped?" Her voice was calm, but there was a weight beneath it, something unresolved, something heavy. Ethan considered his answer. "Yes," he replied. "But I think the world has always been moving. We just don't notice it until we try to stand still." She let out a soft breath. Not quite a laugh, not quite a sigh. "That's a very careful answer," she said. "I've had practice," Ethan admitted. This time she turned. Her expression wasn't what he expected. She didn't look distressed or overwhelmed. Instead, she looked thoughtful, as if she had been examining a complicated idea for a very long time and hadn't yet reached a conclusion. "What do you do?" she asked. "I observe," he said. She raised an eyebrow. "That's not a job. It's not supposed to be," he replied. "It's just something I do." There was a brief silence between them, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It felt intentional. "I'm Lena," she said finally. "Ethan." She nodded slightly, then looked back at the water. "Do you think people change?" She asked another careful question. Ethan leaned against the railing, giving himself time to think. "I think people reveal different parts of themselves," he said. "Change is just what we call it when we finally notice." Lena was quiet for a moment. "That sounds like something someone tells themselves when they don't want to believe change is real." "Maybe," Ethan said. "Or maybe it's something someone says when they've seen how complicated people can be." She studied him. "You don't talk like most people. I've been told that's not always a good thing." "I don't think it's a bad thing," she said, for the first time. There was a hint of warmth in her voice. The wind picked up slightly, carrying with it the distant sound of a train passing somewhere beyond the city center. The moment stretched, then settled. "Why are you here?" Ethan asked, carefully. Lena didn't answer immediately. Instead, she asked another question. "Do you believe in second chances?" Ethan didn't hesitate this time. "Yes." "Why?" "Because people are rarely as finished as they think they are." She looked down at her hands. "And if someone doesn't deserve one?" Ethan shook his head slightly. I don't think second chances are about deserving, he said. I think they're about choosing. Kana absorbed that in silence. Then, unexpectedly, she smiled. Not a wide smile, not a dramatic one. Just something small, something genuine. That's a dangerous way to think, she said. Most honest ways are, Ethan replied, for the first time since he arrived. The tension in the air seemed to ease. She stepped back from the edge of the bridge, a small movement, but a meaningful one. Walk with me, she said. Ethan nodded. They moved away from the railing and onto the quiet street, their footsteps echoing softly against the pavement. The city, though still vast and indifferent, felt slightly less distant now. Tell me something, Lena said as they walked. Why do you talk to strangers? Ethan thought about it, because sometimes strangers tell the truth more easily than people who know each other. He said, and you think I'm telling the truth? I think you're trying to, he replied. She glanced at him, curious. That's not the same thing. No, he agreed. But it's a start. They continued walking. Streetlights passed overhead, one by one, each casting a brief circle of light before fading behind them. It felt like moving through moments each, one temporary, each one leaving something behind. Do you ever regret anything? Lena asked. Ethan smiled slightly. Only the things I didn't understand at the time. Convenient. It's honest, he said. She considered. That I regret something, she said. Quietly, Ethan didn't interrupt. I thought I knew. Someone, she continued. I trusted them, completely. And when things went wrong, I realized I didn't know them at all. That happens more often than people admit, Ethan said. But what if it's your fault? She asked. What if you ignored the signs because you wanted to believe something else? Ethan stopped walking. Lena turned to face him. That doesn't make you foolish, he said. It makes you human. She looked at him carefully, as if trying to decide whether to believe him. And what if being human isn't enough? She asked. Ethan didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked up at the sky. The clouds were slowly drifting, revealing small patches of stars hidden behind the city's glow. Then maybe, he said slowly. Being human is exactly where you start. They walked without urgency, as if time itself had loosened its grip on them. The streets grew narrower, quieter. The distant noise of the city faded into something almost imaginary, like a memory that refused to disappear completely. Their footsteps became the only consistent sound. Steady and deliberate. Lena broke the silence. Do you ever feel like you're living two lives? She asked. Ethan glanced at her, intrigued. In what sense? She took a moment before answering. One life is the one people see, she said. The version of you that functions, speaks, responds, does what's expected. She paused. And the other one is the one that questions everything. Ethan nodded slowly. I think most people do, he said. They just don't admit it. And which one is real? She asked both, he replied. That's the problem. She let out a quiet breath, as if that answer confirmed something she had already suspected. They turned a corner. The street opened into a small square. A single cafe remained open, its warm lights spilling onto the pavement. Inside, a few people sat alone, absorbed in their own thoughts. Their own private worlds. Lena stopped walking. Let's sit, she said. They entered the cafe, greeted by the soft sound of music playing somewhere in the background. It wasn't loud enough to recognize, but it filled the silence in a comforting way. They chose a table by the window. A waiter approached, tired but polite. Just tea, Lena said. Ethan nodded in agreement. When the waiter left, Lena leaned back in her chair, studying the room. I used to come to places like this with someone, she said. We would sit for hours, talking about everything, ideas, plans, things we thought we understood. What changed? Ethan asked. She looked down at the table. I realized he wasn't listening, she said. He was waiting. Waiting for what? For his turn to speak. Ethan gave a small, understanding smile. That's more common than people think. Yes, she said. But I didn't notice it at first. I thought silence meant comfort. And now? Now I think silence can mean distance. The tea arrived. Steam rose gently from the cups, twisting into the air before disappearing. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Ethan said, "Silence can mean many things. It depends on what fills it." Lena looked at him. And what fills this one? Ethan considered the question. Curiosity. He said. She tilted her head slightly. That's an unexpected answer. Most honest ones are, he replied. A faint smile returned to her face. They sat in a comfortable pause, sipping their tea. Outside, the city remained distant, almost irrelevant. Inside, time slowed again, stretching just enough to allow thoughts to settle. Tell me something, Lena said. Why do you trust your perspective so much? Ethan raised an eyebrow. I don't, he said. I question it constantly. Then why speak with such certainty? Because doubt and clarity aren't opposites, he said. They work together. She frowned slightly, thinking, that sounds contradictory. It is, he admitted. But most true things are. Lena leaned forward, resting her elbows on the table. I think I've been running, she said. From what? She hesitated, from the possibility that I was wrong. She said finally. Ethan didn't react immediately. Instead, he asked, and what would it mean if you were? Lena's eyes shifted, searching for something solid. It would mean I wasted time, she said. It would mean I believed in something that wasn't real. Ethan shook his head slightly. Or, he said, it would mean you experienced something that taught you what reality isn't. She looked at him, uncertain. That's a very generous way to interpret failure. Stay tuned for the next episode.